Lately1 here, and in this video I'm just going to discuss a little bit of Marvelous Designer 7 and some of the tools that I've been using in it lately. So what we'll do is go to layer 1, and I'm going to go inside of this group and take just this mesh, and we're going to export it as an OBJ. This one, and we'll name it head plate 1. Make sure it's only the selection. Triangulate the faces out of force habit of going between some of the applications. And from here, I'm just going to pop open Marvelous Designer 7. I'm using the Steam version. So the first thing I want to do is delete all avatars, make a new file so everything can be clean. And let's locate this mesh we just exported, probably this one. No, we'll import it as feet, even though it'll be to our detriment. In fact, that would work, except it's actually a little small. So this video is kind of a rough draft of a video I want to do at a later point where I go more in depth. Usually whenever I'm dealing with characters, I have a system where I can get these guys here. Let's try 300% of feet. Better. Alright. It's just, in previous examples, I've noticed that having the mesh too small makes it where I have to get the particle distance insane. So, here's a new tool here where you can, let's try it again. We'll use line. And I'm just going to draw a line up here. And, you know, in my test with this, I found that this tool can be a little finicky, you know, but with all programs, it's just a matter of, you know, understanding behavior. So, you know, maybe for kicks, while I'm in this video, I'll show you all some other stuff I've been up to as well. That's non-hard ops related. I mean, a large part of my life is hard ops, but we'll double click here and then go into the tool, select the circle, double click there. I've just noticed that sometimes you can get all the way around and then it'll have an issue, which nobody wants. That's as good as that's going to get. And so with the flatten tool, you can click on flatten, and then the mesh becomes a an actual mesh over here. Now, previously, you could go under File and do Import as Cloth, or OBJ to Garment, I believe, and you could just turn objects into cloth. But let me tell you, from my experience, that has never been the best. So right here, I'm deleting the points in a median point, and that's simply so that I may. This part's also something I've been trying to figure out. We'll adjust the pressure. That'll make it stick downwards. If we put the pressure up, it'll fly away. So right here, we'll select this line. Usually there's more options here. Let's try it again. Alright, so what we'll do is a symmetric pattern with sewing, see if that does the job. And of course, you know, there's always some weirdness which is why, you know, I don't do a lot of MD tutorials. I try not to flounder in videos if I can help it. So let's look at the stitching, which doesn't exist. And now we have both pieces. We can kind of tweak things just to perfect it. But let me tell you, once you're messing with it at this point, you're kind of playing with fire. So more importantly, we should proceed to the next step. I'll rotate this island so it looks a little more normal. And let's play with some stuff. So I'm pressing Z. Z is basically the tool that lets you select edges and things like that. Just in my experiences, I use a lot of it. I'm going to select everything, deselect this, offset as internal line. Maybe give it a 15. There we go. And we're going to double click this and choose cut and sew. And we'll have something like that. And now what we'll do is we'll take this, freeze it, layer clone over, move it over, and we'll take this, unfreeze it, and this will be what we'll be working with. So we have this kind of starting scene set up here. A couple of cool things I like about MD that I use quite a bit is redline. I mean, I just made up names for a lot of these tools just because that's how my mind works. So I just call this tool here redline. I think it's something less interesting. We'll reverse the direction, give it 25. And I'm just trying to think, you know, we should actually go back one step and then do this. So we'll delete this line. So we're at one level. That's the only way I can rationalize this. And we're just going to move this over till there's just so many. Alright. And we'll right click all of these and choose extend to pattern outline. One of my favorite tools. It's kind of like a boolean for lines. I mean, can't beat that. And we could deal with this part, but you know, I think I'll leave it. So with this pattern created, we're going to right click, layer clone over, move this here, and right click unfreeze, and voila. So if we sim it, now, so the reason that we had to do it to this layer underneath is that whenever you do a layer clone, every single one of these is stitched together, so it'll give us a real nice, interesting pattern. You know, also should have put a line down the center. Technically, I could still do that. Let's let it go. Yeah, triangles are starting to kind of grow on me. So, also, let's not press our luck here. This video is intended just to kind of give y'all a rough idea. Now the thing about particle settings is the higher the number, like if we crank this up to 50, you see that everything's highly simplified. So as you lower the number, you know, it gets more and more detailed. Another thing that'll add a little extra detail is we'll select the fabric and we'll just change it to be lightweight nylon. And we'll select all this stuff again. And we'll also mess with the weft and the warp. Now the only way I can explain this is cloth exponent. And what that means is it keeps your cloth in the same shape that we have here, but it adds more cloth in between these points. So we're just gonna 115 and 115. And you can see that things have a little bit of baggage going. So we'll lower things to 5, really push our luck here. Now I must admit, now that my graphics cards have more than 2 gigabytes of video memory, I don't even go through so much of the decimation process as I used to with these things. In fact, this mesh that you see here will probably be one that I use in Blender just because it'll look damn good in render. And also, with Decal Machine, the geometry doesn't even matter so much. I mean, the lower the better, but if it's high, you can also live. But it just won't be enjoyable. So, on the left here, I gave it a little bit more than warmth, so that way it would have punching going in a certain direction. In fact, we can tighten it up a bit and also adjust the pressure. The pressure is no longer needed once we sim it with the arrow. You can see the changes begin to reflect. Now, since the particle distance is low, it will take a moment. So, we'll click this button. This button will hide our avatar. In this case, our avatar is the mesh that we imported, so we'll just get rid of that. So we just see delicious padding. Now the other thing is, it looks a little busy. So we could stop the sim and just basically delete every other line. I mean, we should probably do it on one underneath, but you know, looking at it, it just looks like a bunched up mess. So let's make it less so. We'll delete these lines, which will carry over because that's a mirror instance. And now it should look a little different. But for a moment, we're just going to raise the particle distance. Usually I like to work with it around like 15, 10. Get it started, get it perfected at a higher number, and then finally let it have its way. So I'm just giving a little bit of an offset here, so you know, on the exponent X it'll pull a little tighter, on the Y it'll be a lot extra. So we'll go back down to 5, and if you think 5's as low as it goes, you can go all the way down to 1, and in some cases I'll just set it at 1, walk away from the computer. I mean, right now, that is pretty good. That's a pretty good result. And we're only 12 minutes into this video. I mean, probably need to practice a little bit more just to get it perfect to do a formal tutorial. But, you know, these are some things that I like to keep to myself for a bit in order to practice and hone, mutate, maybe even take it back to Blender and start using the system they have there. I mean, there's a really cool tutorial in Blender where they are inflating some pillows using the pinning, which I never got it into because I'd already gotten into Marvelous by that time. Now, this is a very fine product, and the poly count, of course, is astronomical. At this point, I could sim it lower, but instead, what I'm going to do is select this piece, choose Export OBJ Selected, and I'm just going to put empty before it so I know it's an empty situation. Click OK. Now minimize this window. We go back to Blender. We'll close this group. In the scene, level 1 helmet, level 2 this. In fact, this helmet's already gone through some changes since this one was posted. However, we'll get to that. So, shouldn't have done that. There we go. Now I can see the file name. And this is a 25 meg mesh. Usually I judge OBJs by the size, the file size. If it's under a meg, I've done pretty good. If it's around 5 meg, but if it's around like 60 megs, maybe let's talk about it. Also, that means that, I was simming pretty low, but in that case, that was actually a ZBrush file. So, I'm going to press numpad period, and we're going to find this mesh. all humongous, and we're just going to scale it to fit. I know, kind of lame. And once we get the piece in place, it's a done deal. And to, maybe make it easier on my computer, we will select this. And there we go. However, we could do a little bit better. Alright. So, I usually do a little bit of edit mode shaping just to get things to fit. It's just part of life. And what we'll do is edit the group. We'll select this cloth. Go with this. Materials. I'll put a subsurf on this. I'm really pressing my luck. So let's do that. Subsurf added. Set it to optimal display so at least the computer has a chance to live. And also we will Control X and add it to group, close to group, and voila. So I'm still experimenting with things like doing certain steps at certain times and certain points of planning. I'm really trying to figure out interesting ways to fit cloth into my designs in different areas of different types. I should put the other cloth that goes here, but for now we will just render it and no one will even notice. However, this particular style, the more I look at it, the more I think it's kind of like British, like those wigs that they used to wear, like it's those wigs. So I might do a robot where it just has some cloth hanging down, kind of, British. It's the only word I can use to describe it. So with that, I think go ahead and end this video. Maybe. Let me see. I think there's something else I was good. Oh yeah. So while I'm just doing this video for the people who are going to be watching this, you know who you are. I have been learning Houdini. Off and on, just kind of reading the manual casually. Houdini is not really easy, to say the least. However, I have found some cool people who, we're kind of like a study group. So starting out in Houdini, I'm not even going to try to tutorialize this. I'm just going to show y'all. I'm just going to bring in a box. So a box is created. It drives me crazy they don't call boxes cubes here. And we're just going to go into the box's parameters. And you're going to see that I've done this a lot. So let's say I wanted to transform it. In this program, this is how you transform things. Let's see. This one. Yes. So let's go back in here. And we're just going to adjust the scale. And I just want to show some of you guys. I know most of y'all are, Blender users, so this will look real different or real familiar depending on what you're into. I'm going to hold Control and click the grid. That's the quickest way to make a grid. We'll take this grid and adjust the size. In this program, you can put the middle mouse button on parameters in order to scale them. In fact, it's kind of cool. It's giving me some inspirations for things. However, it's not my type of behavior. Like, if you move the mouse down, you can move it by like hundredths or thousandths, or by decimals, or ones or tens or hundreds. It's kind of interesting. From here, we're going to convert these to points. And This is all based off of this video I was watching recently, um, showing off these sort of things. Because, you know, I'm sure, as y'all know by now, I've been a bit tied up with this commercial job, and over the course of it, you know, I started to wonder about my next skills. So I do want to pick up Houdini because I love the language. So we got our box, we got it transformed, we got it converted to points, and then we got it fractured. So the next thing from here is we're going to create an attribute and just name it density. This will look cool at the end, I hope. But just to show you guys my life, in case y'all want to jump in it, you know, we could become a Houdini group. So with the paint, we're just going to make it density. And the cool thing is, with this selected, I can just paint in the 3D view. So this program compared to Blender, you know, definitely has some software behaviors that have been difficult to wrap my head around, to say the least. Basically, everywhere I'm painting is going to break up into smaller particles. Now, you guys out there play Sonic Mania. I don't know why I bring it up. I mean, I do know why I bring it up. Just trying to figure out something to talk about while painting this. Sonic Mania is pretty good. You know, it's like a throwback to the roots of classic Sonic games before they started messing them up. However, nowadays, you know, they started getting back some of the same composers from back in the day. As a result, check this out. This is what UV unwrapping looks like here. We'll select the UV unwrap and I'll press spacebar 5. And so, you know, this is like our UV sheet. Here's me UVing this. Okay, they're UV'd. Now the cool thing is it's all procedural, so I can just keep jumping up and down the chain. I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, convert you guys to Houdini or anything. We're going to take this and just actually at the end here, let's add a null. I'm not doing this for reasons I know. I'm just doing this because I'm compelled to. Alright, so we'll select this. And we'll just give this RBD glued. Where's that at? Glued is a favorite right here. It's just a fun time. And when you click these, they create all the nodes for you. So at this point, if I click play, nothing will happen. Alright. I didn't want to have to do this. But I could take this. Go all the way back to transform. Yeah, I just realized, you know what I'm going to do is after this video, I'm going to loop the song that's been stuck in my head. I forgot what I was going to tell you about Sonic Mania, is that the soundtrack is so great. And so we have our object and it's just dropping. So the cool thing is now I can locate the glue constraint and play with it. And we have our rocks dropping. And I'll give it strength of 300, just experiment with different settings to try to just add more weight to it. But let me tell you, I've become kind of hypnotized with just breaking rocks sometimes. Just coming in here, just dropping some nodes, and just real quickly doing stuff. I mean, I could easily replace this with something else. I mean, not the helmet. I can't replace it with the helmet. The thing has 2D decals all over it. But, you know, anything solid, like, for example, there's a statue that we did for this historical exhibit. I had it dropping down and shattering. Like, you can procedurally just replace it with anything. So while it's not, the ideal modeler, it definitely has a place and the potential to make your life easier, especially if you're like me and you're making FMVs for games. I mean, not literally, but the workflow is FMVs for games, but in Unity using timeline. I mean, it's madness. But, that's a talk for another day. I mean, I also got Unity up there to be showing y'all some timeline stuff, but I mean, I'm pretty sure I've bored y'all by now with all of this. So, I mean, with that, we'll just press escape. Why is it showing the 10 gimbal? There we go. Just leave it at that, and 25 minutes. Sorry to take up so much time, and I'll see you guys